Welcome back to the Virtual Firearms Association. I am Frank, and today we're talking about if you're going to know how to start bleeding, then you should probably know how to stop it. Let's discuss. Hey, before we get started, listen, those gifts are down in the description for you. The downloadable and printable targets, download them, print them out. They're completely free. Use them, save yourself some time and some money going to the range, and just download, print out your targets as you need them. A couple different styles in there, ranging all the way from sighting in your firearms all the way out to silhouettes. Now, the other one is a full online basic pistol course. Now, this is a $97 course that we are giving away free. It's a full course for pistol training and marksmanship training. So if you ever need to improve your marksmanship, doesn't matter if you're novice, beginner, or expert and just advanced, it has something in there for you. Let's get started. If you're going to be able to cause bleeding, right? If you're going to be able to put holes in something and cause bleeding, then you need to know how to plug those holes or stop that bleeding. There's a lot that goes into this, and our full TAC Med course covers everything along those lines. But for the most part, an effective way to control bleeding, you have direct pressure, you have a hemostatic agent, which is a clotting agent that you can put inside of a wound. The other aspect is a tourniquet, and a tourniquet is one of the most effective ways to control massive hemorrhage or massive bleeding when you may have some type of injury. Now, what am I talking about? This could be a stabbing, this could be a bullet hole, right? Or any other aspects, but you should probably know how to control. Now, there's improvised tourniquets, and that would take its own video to go over all the different implications of an improvised tourniquet. But what you need to know is you need a strap, you need some type of locking device to lock your windlass or your stick into position. So you have your strap, your windlass, and then your locking device, and that's what you're going to have to make a tourniquet. I have two different types of tourniquets over here. Both of these are manufactured tourniquets, which just means they're produced. They're manufactured by companies to sell for this purpose. Both these are trainers, but they both do the exact same thing. So the first one we have is a soft TW, and this stands for Special Operations Forces Tourniquet, and the W stands for wide. But what you need to know is you have your stick right here, right? Your windlass. You have your strap, and then your locking device right here can be one of these two things, either this C-clip right here or this triangle. Now, that's one style, and what you would do is you'd put it on and tighten it. The other one we have here is a cat tourniquet, one of the most common types of tourniquets, and this one, same thing. You have your strap right here. This is your strap, and you have your stick or your windlass, and then you have your locking device, which is this C-clip right here. The way that you apply a tourniquet, right, specifically one that's a manufactured tourniquet, is you want to put it high and tight on the limb. There's a lot of research out there and studies and a lot of old teaching about 2 inches above the wound to preserve as much of the limb as possible. And what I'm going to tell you is studies and research have shown that tourniquets can last a long time without causing any additional damage to the limb, in excess of 10 hours, right? So when I'm putting this on, the first thing I'm going to do is I want it shaped and sized to my largest limb. Now, right now it's not, because my thighs are much bigger than my biceps, but for right now, it's just set to my bicep. And what I would do is I would put it all the way up on my limb, right? Now, tourniquets only work on limbs. Obviously, you can't put it around someone's neck. That's counterintuitive. You can't put it around someone's torso. That wouldn't work. So it only works on extremities, right? With the cat tourniquet, it has Velcro, so then it just locks on. Once it's high and tight on the limb, I want it perpendicular to the limb. I don't want it up in a crease, right? Because it's not going to do what it needs to. The way a tourniquet works is it tightens and it pushes those arteries and veins up against the bone, and it pinches them off. That's just another advanced way of direct pressure. So what I would do here is I would just keep turning, and I would keep turning, and I would keep turning until the bleeding stops. Sometimes tourniquets tend to pinch, so you have to pull out a little bit, and then you can keep turning. And then once the bleeding stops, that's when you're going to come in and lock it into the lock. And then I can take this tab, put it over so the lock doesn't come on, write my time on there, and I'm good to go. You will keep going till the bleeding stops. A lot of times people report the tourniquet application hurts significantly more than the injury itself. So you have to be mindful. If you're not putting it on yourself and you're putting it on another individual, they may try to stop you. They may even try to loosen it up a little bit, but it does not work if someone sits here and plays with it. It has to be as high and tight as possible. So you tighten it and you don't stop tightening until the bleeding stops. If it's pinching, you can lift up on the stick a little bit to kind of get it off that skin where it's tightening down, and then you keep going. Even right here, I can already feel my whole arm going numb right now, and I don't even have it as tight as I can, but my fingers and everything are already losing a little bit of dexterity. High and tight on the limb all the way until the bleeding stops. Anything else, and it's just not going to be effective, and then ultimately you're not really doing anything for yourself or that individual. Tourniquet application has saved thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives over the years, and it's very effective if done correctly. It's one of the most effective ways to control massive bleeding, right? Massive bleeding is anything that it can't be controlled by direct pressure. Another thing to consider, and another little tip here when applying a tourniquet, is if you can, especially if you're doing a self-application, always put the tail end right here so that you're pulling across your chest, right? You want to be able to pull across your chest, because if you're pulling out, your arms only go so far and you might not be able to get that same range of motion, because you want to get the original strap as tight as possible so you don't have to keep twisting your windlass here, and then you're going to run out of space, available space, to actually get that secure, tight, I guess tight fit is what I'm going with. That secure, tight application. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. So that it actually prevents and stops the bleeding, right? So you always want to be able, especially for self-application, pull it across the chest. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of trouble there. Once again, there's different styles to this. That one is the cat, the soft TW I showed you. That one has a clip, right? So you could actually slip this one on underneath of someone, say if they're pinched under a rock or something along those lines with massive bleeding. Whereas the cat, you'd have to unthread it completely out of the buckle and then thread it back through if you wanted to slip it on. That takes a lot of time. If an artery is severed, then you can lose consciousness pretty quickly. So for this one, you can just clip it. I like to leave it clipped, and then you can use it. Same thing. Now this one doesn't have Velcro. It works on a friction buckle, right? And notice this one's set higher, so I got to pull, right? Pull across my chest, pull across my chest, pull across my chest. Okay, now it feels pretty tight. I'm good to go there. There's no Velcro. I can just leave that. And then same thing, I can just start twisting. Now this one's a lot thicker. This one has a steel, stuck in the clip. This one has a steel windlass to it, or stick to it. And what it does is, my arm's already going numb right now. And what this does is allows it to be a little bit more robust. And the wider band that's on the soft TWs allows you to cover a little bit more surface area. I can feel my pulse, much like if I had a blood pressure cuff coming up. And then if I were to go any tighter, it would start cutting off circulation, which is ultimately what you're looking to do with any type of tourniquet application. Like I said, these are just two different styles of manufactured tourniquets. There's a few other ones out there. There's one that has a nice twist to it with a release tab on it. And then there's other ones that have just like a rat's tourniquet where it's just an elastic band. However, I tend to find the cat and the soft TW are the most reliable. Hope this helps. Remember, both of those gifts are down in the description, the downloadable printable targets, plus that full online pistol and marksmanship course. Take it. They're both free. Our gift to you. You literally have to do nothing but just go in there and take the courses. We hope they help. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.